technique, Coach.
I'm Sam Laprade. Welcome to An Hour to Give. Every year I look forward to this incredible show featuring Perley Health. And today you're going to meet many people that provide great services at Perley Health. And we're going to start with Mary Boutet. Mary, hello, how are you?
I'm well, thank you very much, Sam.
You have a very important role at Perley Health. Tell me what you do.
So I'm the Chief Operating Officer at Perley Health. I've been at Perley now for just a little over 10 years.
Wow. And tell me a little bit about your journey to Perley.
Well, as I said, I've been at Perley now just a little bit over 10 years ago, or 10 years. And if you had asked me 11 years ago, I wouldn't have believed it. Yeah. But I had the opportunity. I knew the CEO at the time, and he invited me to come for a tour. And I had the opportunity to walk through and to meet some of the incredible residents and family members and staff. And I knew it was a really special place. And there was a job with my name on it, focused on quality improvement and looking at how we could really care and support our veterans and our broader community in a leadership role. And I was fortunate enough to have that opportunity and to go forward. It was the best decision I've made.
I can tell. It just, you're so passionate about the Perley and it shows for sure. So we have something in common. I was asked many moons ago to go for a tour. And it changed the way that I thought about the Perley, because I walked in those doors and I thought, okay, this feels like home. And then I was so blessed to meet so many veterans and people, you know, that call the Perley home. And I always talk about this, those beautiful cases, they're outside the window, or outside sort of in a window area, that they're able to showcase what their life was about. And there was beautiful talking points in there. So I would look in the case and then I would say, oh my gosh, like I noticed this award, or I noticed this picture of your grandchildren. That makes it feel like home.
Yeah, it's very much about the relationships that we build with people, the opportunity to get to know people, to really engage with their full self.
Yeah, for sure. Now, for those that may not be aware, tell us where Perley Health is, because it's in a really perfect spot in the city, but some people don't know.
Yeah, so we are, for those who like to shop, we are near the train yards, just on Russell Road, but we're also just a little under a kilometre as the crow flies from the back door of the general campus of the Ottawa Hospital. So southeast Ottawa, but pretty central.
Pretty central, very central. And I think the very first time I went, I thought, oh, I didn't, because it's kind of tucked in a little bit, but it's in a great spot, and of course, a great spot for all of your residents as well. Tell me how things have changed with Perley Health over the years, because I think so often we think about those that served in the First World War and those that served in the Second World War, but things have changed.
Yeah, quite a bit. Yeah. So our history for caring for veterans actually dates back almost 80 years. So lots have changed since that time. But back just at the end of the Second World War, the Government of Canada established what was called the Rideau Veterans Home to care for soldiers returning from the Second World War who were injured. And as the needs of the veteran community and our community at large have changed, really there was a new vision for what might become of that organization, and an amalgamation that led to an amalgamation of the Rideau Veterans Home, what was a veterans wing in the National Defence Medical Centre, and the Perley Hospital to become a new 450-bed state-of-the-art facility, now known as Perley Health, and that opened in 1995. Yeah, but even since that time, we've seen so much growth and change. A little over 10 years ago now, we opened some independent apartments for seniors, including priority access for veterans, as part of that real initiative. And really growing and changing the programs and services that we offer to meet the evolving needs of veterans.
And there's just such a deep-rooted commitment of Perley Health, not only for veterans, but for frailty care. We're going to talk a lot about that today as well. but really to care for seniors. Talk to me a little bit about sort of the culture of Perley Health that leads to this wonderful care.
Well, really, this commitment underpins all that we do at Perley Health. So that deep commitment to veterans, so whether that's things like priority access and service, or whether that's really about tailoring programs and services that meet the unique needs of our veteran population. So we offer a really wide range of clinical and therapeutic programs. We have a really rich creative arts program, therapeutic rec and creative arts program for veterans as well, which is just incredibly impactful. We also do a lot of work with our veteran community, so veteran service organizations, advocacy groups who come in and add such a level of richness. Volunteer programs that are really there as well to meet the needs of veterans who are volunteering, but also of our residents as well.
I want to pause and just talk about the Creative Arts Studio for a second, because when I went in there, I wanted to play with clay and paint, and it's really inspiring, and some of the pieces are gorgeous. I am so blessed to have one in my home. I was given as a gift, and I treasure it. Yeah, it's amazing. It's amazing. Talk to me about some of the challenges as a COO. I mean, you know, it's all obviously there's lots of positives, but what are some of the challenges?
So, you know, I would say challenges. You know, when I think about the therapeutic recreation and creative arts program, I have a tough time, you know, coming up with a particular problem or a challenge. It's such a wonderful, wonderful program. And I think at first, you know, that focus again on the arts that brings joy and purpose, camaraderie, meaning, fun. But there's also a lot of physical benefit that can come. So if you can hold a paintbrush, maybe you can hold a toothbrush. We certainly know that music and singing is wonderful for the soul, but it's also great for cognition and for memory. But if I were to think about, you know, kind of challenges maybe more broadly about the services that we offer to veterans and to their families, I'd say probably two. The first, that continues to evolve, right, and to grow, and so we need to be always learning and adapting and growing in our approaches and what we do. But I would say there's also a real challenge around awareness within the veteran community. We have, and you know, you referenced that traditional kind of World War II veteran, right? That's often what we think of. And a lot of individuals who served post-Korea might not even consider themselves a veteran.
Right.
Yeah, and they might not be aware of the services or programs that they're eligible for, and they might not even be clients of Veterans Affairs. And so we have a real challenge and an opportunity both to reach into the veteran community, to make sure that they're aware of the supports and programs available to them and that they have access to those.
For sure. And such good point. I think the other sort of thing that I think about, and maybe because I'm just going through it with my own mom, is just navigating the whole long-term care system. And I don't even like calling it a system because it's my mom. And no one wants to say, oh, I'm putting my mom into a system or my father into a system. But the reality is, you know, there's a system for a reason, but it is hard for people that, you know, like me, as opposed to you know, an expert like yourselves that's working in this every day. Help me out a little bit.
So it's certainly complex. And, you know, today we offer, you know, just as an example for long-term care, we offer long-term care for members of the general community. We offer long-term care for veterans. That's veterans of World War II Korea, which I think many veterans would be aware of. But we also offer long-term care for veterans who served post-Korea, which some might not be aware of. And the ways of navigating and accessing are a little bit different for each of those groups. So I'd encourage anyone who has a really specific question about, you know, process for admission or navigating that to reach out to our admissions office at Perley Health. They are the deep experts in terms of navigation and are able to help walk people through what is a really complex process.
For sure.
But
I was just going to say, I think the big part of what you do as well is you provide peace of mind for families. I have a very, very dear friend that's at the Perley, Diane Morrison. I worked for Diane for many, many years. You know, her husband's a very dear friend of mine as well. I visited a few months ago. And when I went in, I was a little bit nervous to see her. And I walked away going, oh my gosh, she's being cared for so beautifully. and the peace of mind that I know that Diane's family has and that I had as a friend. I got in my car and I thought, everything's good, it's all good. So that peace of mind means something to everybody, right?
Yeah, and that relationship that we work to build with families, with members of a resident or clients, just general community of care, making sure that we're an open, welcoming place. We do believe very much that this is a partnership, not just between ourselves and the people who might be immediate service recipients, but really between their community. So how do we make sure that we're communicating, being welcoming and open, and really including them in all that we do?
And Mary, in your important role, we only have a couple of minutes, but I'd love to know, is there something you want us to know about Perley Health that maybe we don't know, that's a hidden gem?
A hidden gem. Again, it's like picking amongst my children, right?
It's true, it's true.
It's hard to say just one thing.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll say two.
Sure, yeah.
Really, that focus on quality of life for people. So that, again, not just the technical check-the-box things that make for a good life, but really, what is it about living that we want to see reflected in the everyday for our residents and for our clients? And I think we have, I think we do that well, and we continue to strive in that area. And then I think the second is really our deep commitment to continuing to learn, to develop new knowledge and practice, and to share that outside of Perley. So that whether you are a veteran or a community resident living at Perley, or you live or receive care in the broader community somewhere else, that you can benefit from that same knowledge and level of expertise.
Beautifully said. And I do think the secret behind Perley, and we've mentioned it in a few different ways, are the people. The people that provide that care every single day. I have so much respect for, I was there for a meal, and to watch a meal being served, and I was just so deeply in gratitude for those people that do that every single day with a beautiful smile and lovely kind words.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I really like to say that I have the privilege of working with a team that is both smart and kind. And it really does make going to work every day a real pleasure.
Absolutely. And you're wearing your beautiful poppy.
Oh, thank you.
We only have about 30 seconds, but tell us about your poppy.
Oh, so thank you for noticing. This was gifted to me in recognition of the work that we're doing around caring and supporting our veterans, and was created by an Indigenous artist.
It's beautiful,
absolutely
beautiful. Mary, I've loved chatting with you today. Thank you for everything you do for Perley as well. Thank you. When we come back, more chatting about the Perley today. Thanks to Mary Botet for joining us today. When we come back on An Hour to Give, you'll want to hear all about what we're doing at Perley Health. Stay with us.
You're watching an interesting local show on Rogers TV and you want to know more. That's when you head to rogerstv.com. Our website provides more information about our programs, our hosts, our schedule, and about how you too can get involved with Rogers TV. Visit us online at rogerstv.com.
Hi, I'm Paula Roy, and it's my pleasure to welcome you back into my kitchen for another season of Paula Roy's Favorite Foods. My approach to food is pretty straightforward. Fancy is fine, but when you're in a time crunch or have a really hungry and patient family to feed, I say simple recipes made with wholesome ingredients that you probably have on hand are the best. And that's exactly what you'll find on Paula Roy's Favorite Foods on Rogers TV.
On Rogers TV.
Well, we know the importance of remembering veterans at this time of year and always 365 days of the year. Perley Health, of course, is there to support veterans and so many in our community. It is my pleasure to welcome to the show, to welcome to An Hour to Give, Dr. Annie Robitaille. Hello, Dr. Robitaille. How are you?
Good, yourself?
Good. Can I call you Annie?
Yes,
okay.
perfect.
Okay, fantastic. I know that you're doing some incredible work at Perley Health. Tell me a little bit about your role. What's your title, for instance?
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually hold the Commissioner's Ottawa Research Chair position with the Centre of Excellence in Frailty Informed Care at Perley Health, and I'm also an associate professor at the University of Ottawa.
So you're just a little busy.
Yes.
Yeah, very, very busy, and obviously very passionate about this work. Tell me where it all started.
Oh, well, it started a long time ago. So in high school, for example, I used to volunteer in a retirement home, and it brought me so much joy, and also just spending time quilting with my grandma, which she's 94 now, and I still do that with her regularly. And so that sort of led to doing a PhD in the area of aging, and my PhD was specifically looking at the importance of social support. And then I'm so thankful for my role at Perley Health. That's where I started focusing a lot of my research on aging veterans and their families specifically, and seeing how we can improve their quality of life.
Incredible. I love the backstory. Your grandma must be so proud of you.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing. So I understand there's a report out.
Yes.
So tell me about this report. What's it called, and what can we learn from it?
Yeah, so it's a new report. It was just recently published, and it's specifically around strategies for aging in place, and specific to veterans. It's a report that is really important to veterans themselves and their families. We all want to age in place, and that's no different for veterans. They also want to age in place. They want to age in their own home, within their community. And unfortunately, they tend to face additional unique challenges because of their military service, which means that they sometimes face additional challenges when it comes to aging in place. We also know that there's limited amount of resources, that there's still a lack in resources for aging veterans when it comes to aging in place. And even when there are services and resources available, they don't always know about it. So that's why we felt this report was really important to work on.
And what I love about reports is that obviously there's great findings in there, but then it's the take action part. So what happens now with this report?
Yeah, well, for sure, a big part of the report is making sure that we share it. And so, on our end, we're really making sure that we share it with as many people as possible. We want people to read it. We want people to look at the recommendations that are within that report. The report also highlights, many areas of improvement and areas where we need to start working and improving the system. So, for example, the report has this nice table at the end, which highlights the list of services and resources that we could find across Canada. So the financial resources, but home services and things like that. But it also highlights that there was very few services available for equity deserving groups. And so we need to do more in that area for sure. And so we want people to share the report. It's also meant as a living document. So if individuals and people that read it hear of new resources that are available to veterans when it comes to aging in place, then share it with us, because we want to make sure that we add it to the report so that everyone has access to this practical list of resources.
I love that. And the resources, obviously, including Canadian-wide, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we looked at
each of the provinces to see what resources were available. And we looked at whether or not the resources were available in rural areas, for language minority groups, for women. So it's quite a detailed report.
What's it like to finally sort of take that report and put it out into the world?
Yeah, it feels good.
Yeah.
It was a lot of work, and it was very much a team effort, and that's what I find is so dear to me about this report, is that we actually worked with so many researchers. We worked with veteran-specific organizations. So we had, representatives from Commissioners Ottawa, Veterans Affairs Canada, and lots of other, organizations that helped out with the report. We also had veterans and family members that played a key role in the report. Really, they're the experts.
Yeah.
And so we really wanted to get their feedback about the report, and lots of students and trainees. I think, they're the future. They're the ones that are going to help us support veterans well into the future. So they were also a key part of this report.
So true. Any surprises in the report for you when you compiled all of the data and all of the information?
Well, the report has different sections, and so the first section of the report really focuses on aging in place in general, making sure that there's way more literature in that area than veteran-specific research, making sure that we learn from the best practices when it comes to aging in place. When we started looking at the literature, the second part of the report really focuses on the literature and what's out there with regards to aging in place for veterans specifically. And there was very limited work done in Canada. So much was from the United States. But we know it's a different context. And so if we want to have, evidence-based programs in Canada and demonstrate the resources that help to age in place, and that, delay having to move into a long-term care, then I think we need to do more in Canada, provide more services, and do research on those programs to see how effective they are. The other thing that was interesting was also the lack of communication between veteran-specific organizations and non-veteran organizations or healthcare professionals, and that really presents as a barrier for aging veterans when it comes to accessing services to be able to age in place.
Well, and I think when it comes time to sort of make some changes maybe in the life of a senior, and obviously a veteran as well, there's so many factors. And, I just went through this with my mom, not that she's a veteran, but just as an aging person, it's a lot more complicated than I thought. So people do want to stay in their homes. They want to age in place. So give us some sort of, maybe the wrong word is tips, but give us some ideas about how to maybe support our loved ones.
Yeah, well, number one, I'd say read the report.
Yes.
Because within the report, there's quite a long list of factors that can help you age in place. There's a long list of programs that support aging in place. And so I think one of the big barriers is that we don't know what we don't know. And so a lot of veterans don't even know that they have access to these resources and supports. And so I think that's one big part. And talking. Share the report and talk about the report, or talk about the importance of aging in place with family members, with healthcare professionals, and share, your experiences and your unique challenges when it comes to that, so that we can actually make changes to the programs and the policies that are currently existing, and we can make it more we can make it easier for veterans to age, in place with dignity, with as much joy as possible.
And that's what we want. The report, Strategies that Support Aging in Place, a Global Perspective on Models for Veterans' Health and Well-Being. Where are we finding this report? Where are we going to go to find it?
Yeah, so it's available on the Perley Health website. It's free. It's a living document, as I mentioned. So it will be constant. It will constantly be updated.
And you know, for anybody watching today, we're obviously going to head there and look at the report. You mentioned speaking to a number of people about the report as well, and maybe bring it to the attention of your own family doctor or those kinds of opportunities. Anything else you want to share to families maybe watching, listening to us right now that may help them in this journey?
Yeah, I'd say use the resources that are available to you. You know, and advocate for yourself and your families. Talk about the importance of aging in place and the multitude of resources that should be made available to them so that they can actually, you know, remain in their own home for as long as they want.
And we want that. I mean,
Yes.
it's just such home is comfort. And although there's wonderful, obviously, you know, when someone does go to Perley Health and they're a resident there.
It's lovely.
It is lovely, and it does feel like home as well, but there's just so many people that are going to require services. That's probably the timeliness of your report is really important.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Hopefully it helps.
Oh, I'm sure it will. I'm sure it will. Any other advice for us as we navigate this path with veterans and seniors?
I'd say just talk about your experiences, be vocal, and this is how we're going to be able to get some change. And the researchers out there, do more research on aging veterans. We're definitely lacking behind.
It's a really important point because I think, you know, being able to have the funding to be able to do this report, and then the report becoming a resource and a guide, funding this kind of research is crucial.
Yeah, and we were lucky. We had, you know, funding from Veterans Affairs Canada. We had funding or support from the Perley Health Foundation and Commissioners Ottawa through the research chair position, but that's not the case for everyone. And we also have many volunteers that were willing to help on the report, and which made this possible. So
we only have about 15 seconds, but tell me about Remembrance Day at the Perley.
Oh, it's a huge, wonderful event every year. Yeah.
It's very special.
It is. It's very special.
Dr. Robitaille, thank you for everything you've done. I'm so grateful. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Annie Robitaille joining us today from Perley Health. We're going to learn more about Perley Health here on An Hour to Give. I'm Sam Laprade. Come on back, everyone. caring for our veterans is so important, and the team at Perley Health do it so beautifully. One of those team members is the one and only Alma Cook, and Alma's joining me now. Hi, Alma, how are you?
Good, how are you, Sam?
Good. You have got, I'm going to say, the best job at the Perley.
I do.
Yeah,
I do.
So tell me what you do at Perley Health.
Okay, so I am the Veteran Liaison Coordinator, and that means I work half the time with the Recreation Department, which we organize a lot of the veteran events. And then the other side, I work with the volunteer services, where we get a volunteer who are veterans themselves that want to come in and work with our veterans specifically, but also not just our veterans, but also our community residents. So I think I really lucked out there.
Because it's this beautiful sort of matchmaking, right, that you're doing and creating, and I'm sure there's friendships that come out of this.
Oh, wonderful bonds, and they're so important. I've had volunteers who've given up, volunteering at other places where they want to spend more time with our veterans, where they're making a connection with them, and they're just recreating great memories, and they feel so like they contribute to our veterans at the Perley.
And this is all about dignity, it's about connection, it's about relationships. Tell me a little bit about some of the activities.
Well, we have our volunteers that come in, they help with feeding, assistance feeding, doing one-on-one. Some of our residents want to go outside for fresh air. They get the help with that. Even just coming in and spending that 5-10 minutes, medical escorts to their doctor's appointments. We even have our creative art studio where a lot of our volunteers, very popular place.
Oh yes, I love it there.
And they go in and they help them just bring the residents down, and also, bring them to concerts and lectures and, anything else that the residents requires that extra support, so that no resident is left behind, for sure.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so often when we hear from volunteers, they get more out of the experience than the people receiving support or care. Is that the case here?
Yes, it is. They really feel like they're connecting with those residents, and they're really helping them out, and they get something out of it. We have the veterans themselves asking our volunteers, "When are you coming back? When is next time?" I'm like, "That's that's between the two of you," and so I match them, and then they can continue with the relationship.
Amazing.
So, yeah.
What was your journey to the Perley?
Well, let me see, where can I start? So I wasn't born here. I was born in Africa, so I moved to Saskatchewan, and I never really knew what I wanted to do. I was one of those kids like, I'll just go to university and college, moved to Ontario. I ended up going to university, and then I ended up working as a recreation. Actually, I got a degree in recreation.
Wow.
But it wasn't working in retirement homes or long-term care. And it just happened that a friend of mine who said, "Hey, have you ever thought of working in retirement?" And then from there, it just took me in different paths. So I've had experience working with in a retirement side, and then also in the long-term care. So I got to see both worlds, and I got to bring my experiences that I got from there over to the Perley. And this is the job that I said, if I'm going to change any job and then becoming a recreation manager, I want to work just directly with volunteers and with just not creating programs, but also just working one-on-one with them. And then the Perley came along and I got interviewed, and there I was.
And the rest is history.
That's right.
The Veteran Volunteer Initiative, tell me a little bit about about the core of this.
So what it's all about. Okay, so basically, True Credit Love Foundation, they reached out to us to see if they can do this research where we want to find out how well-being and volunteerism work together. So basically what they want to do is gather the information and see how we can help our veterans have, kind of like work on their well-being, and how the volunteers can connect together, kind of thing. So
Brilliant.
That's what it is. And then that research is just we're gonna have an action plan where we can work with other organizations out there and see how we can, connect the two worlds.
It's amazing. I mean, and we spoke earlier about some research that was done, and this particular project. I think that it's just so important to seize the moment, learn as much as we can, and then create these opportunities. You just never know what's going to come from this initiative.
Yeah, exactly. No, absolutely. We've had some volunteers who come in and they're like, I don't know what I'm going to do, but I know that I have to be here at the Perley. I know this is where I served for so long, and I know that I still want to give back. And it's not about me, it's about how I can help our veterans who've given up so much for us, and how that relationship can be built. So
there must be just a natural, I'm making an assumption here, so help me out, but a natural bond between maybe someone that served in Korea and maybe someone that served in Afghanistan, and they come together, they served at very different times, their past might be very different, but they have that underlining bond.
Oh, absolutely. And I see it every day at the Perley. I see it it just gives me chills when I see a brand new volunteer who's, like I said, who's volunteered at other places, who comes in and they're like, I can relate to that resident. I worked in the same area as they did. I was, a pilot, and there's a totally different way of communication between a veteran volunteer and our veterans, that they feel that connection. They restore their purpose of being at the Perley. Now I have something to talk about. Now we can talk about the planes. Now we can talk about what we did, and just reminiscing, and it's so important. And the engagement piece, it's so, like, I always believe that it doesn't matter if you're a veteran or not, that engagement is so, I think it's at top of my list when it comes to having a volunteer and a veteran or any other resident, to have them to be able to engage with each other. It makes a huge difference, because they really look forward to those days, because that could be the only thing that resident is interested in doing for the day, and that's what their plan was. But when that volunteer comes in, they're like, wow, I can talk, we can go outside and we can just, reminisce. So, gives me the chills sometimes.
And you're giving me the chills. Honestly, it's emotional.
It is.
Right? To think about how, how they may have felt that part of their lives was behind them. And although, and I can only assume that some things were very difficult, and you might have seen some things that were difficult, but to speak to somebody else that had the same experiences and create that bond, it's wonderful. Yeah, and then what I also do is I try to connect a veteran who is like an Air Force or Army, whatever branch they serve with a volunteer that has the same kind of a background, because then it's easier conversation, it's easier connection. You don't have to kind of like figure out what you're going to talk about. But if I do that, those relationships are so important, and that I've always made my goal when I go to Perley every single day, that when I get a volunteer, and those are the questions I ask the volunteers: where did you serve? What branch did you serve at? Okay, now, and then a resident's name or face comes in my head and goes, oh yeah, that would be a perfect match for them. So I enjoy my days at the Perley. You can tell.
I do.
You can tell you're so passionate. All my guests today have been so passionate about their work, and each of you have such a unique perspective on Perley Health, but each so important. So are you still looking for volunteers today? If someone's listening, watching today, and they say, Sam, like, I'm a veteran, I want to volunteer, how would they do that? Yeah, so we are still, the initiative is going on until December. So we are looking for more volunteers, and I am more than happy to just come in for a tour, because if you don't know where Perley is and what we do, and I've done that for other volunteers, I come down for a quick tour, give me a call, so they can call the Perley, or they can go on our website. There's under volunteer services. They can go in there and fill out the application, and then we reach out to you, because it's not about, for a lot of the volunteers that I've had who are veterans, it's not about what is for me, it's what I can do for another veteran, and giving back to them and making a difference in their lives, which is so important, well, at least to me. Of course. And to the Perley and our other volunteers, and our volunteer program, it's very, the experience you're going to get there, very meaningful.
and makes a huge difference.
Life-changing, I would say.
Absolutely, absolutely. And
are they finding you by going to the website, Alma? How are they finding my friend Alma Cook?
Oh, Alma Cook. So I can go through they can send me a quick email, which is acook@perleyhealth.ca, or you can go right on the Perley website, which you can get in there, and there's actually a section on veteran volunteer initiative, and you just fill out the questionnaire, and then we reach out to you, and we can.
It's amazing, and I would assume that equity groups, we would want to make sure that if somebody was serving and they felt like they maybe had a background that would maybe match beautifully with somebody. You're looking for everybody. You're looking for men and women, people of color.
Yeah. Exactly. So with the True Predator Love Foundation, we are even taking the ones that are serving, or if you had a parent who was who was a veteran, we're definitely taking everybody, and we're more help, the better. And less, the more connection we can have with our veterans, or even our other residents in there, because we do have some veterans volunteers that go to the other units to volunteer. So everybody can come in and really engage with our residents. Yeah.
I feel like if there was a mountain you could stand on and tell everybody, you would.
I would.
Yes.
I would be like, come to Perley, please, and come and see us. And we need you. We need you. And a lot of veteran volunteers don't know that they're needed. You are needed. You are wanted. And we welcome everybody at the Perley. And we appreciate everything that they do, because you as a volunteer, you have a lot of time to be able to come in and help the feeding, or do one-on-ones, or going in medical escort. So more volunteers we get, the better it is for us. And for everybody, right? Everybody wins at the end.
I can't say it any better, Elma. You are just, you don't even need me here, honestly. You're doing a great job.
Thank you, Sam.
Elma, thank you so much.
Thank
I
you.
really appreciate it. And keep up that beautiful spirit you have.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so
beautiful.
much. Thank you, Sam.
Alma Cook joining us today. Now that was inspiring. You're going to be inspired again by my friend Courtney Rock. Stay with us here on An Hour to Give.
For me, the end was just the beginning. I felt I must come. If I did not come at once, it would be too late. And these places that are watered with the best blood of Canada might only be names and memories. I see it in the soldiers, the grief I know so intimately. And I will not abandon these men to it. The isolation wears on me. Slowly, the silence takes over, as if my heart has given out of air. I cannot talk. I can only paint.
For more than 2 years, Mary Ryder Hamilton painted the battlefields of the First World War, creating an unforgettable visual record of service and sacrifices at immense personal cost.
Kids these days, people say we lack initiative.
And technology, that we're all addicted.
Kids these days, we hear that we only care about ourselves. Apparently, we're lazy.
And don't seem to have any sense of independence.
Actually, kids these days are facing a lot. Because the world has changed, and so have our health issues. Kids these days, we could really use your help. Join CHIO in our biggest fundraising campaign ever to transform pediatric care.
Hello everyone, my name is Kwadwo Karamantang. I'm an ICU physician here in Ottawa, and I'm so excited to bring to you our latest show, Solving Healthcare with Dr. K. We're going to tackle some of healthcare's biggest issues, and more importantly, we're going to talk about ways to leverage preventive health. How do you avoid seeing someone like myself in the intensive care unit? And this show is exclusive on Rogers TV, so please tune in. You guys are going to love it.
Welcome back to An Hour to Give. We've learned so much about Perley Health today, and now I'd like to welcome Courtney Rock. And Courtney, of course, is with the foundation. How are you, my friend?
I'm wonderful. Thank you for having me.
So great to see you. You lined up some incredible guests today.
it was hard to just narrow it down to those three incredible women. We work with so many talented people at the Perley, and so it was a tough job to figure out who to bring on the show today.
I bet. And you're with the foundation, and so much of the work that, of course, we spoke about today is because of the work of the foundation, which means donors and funders gave very generously.
Absolutely. So for Perley Health, they are the ones who deliver the care and ensure residents are having that exceptional quality of life. But the foundation's role, we are the fuel that powers that engine, really. Through donors, they enable seniors and veterans to live life to the fullest. They're able to participate in the creative arts studio that you talked about earlier, go outside with volunteers, like Alma was mentioning, participate in research studies that are conducted by the Center of Excellence in Frailty Informed Care that Annie leads. So we all are able to work together through the generosity of our community and donors.
Absolutely. And of course, during this remembrance period, obviously very important, we're wearing proudly our poppies. It's an important time, but this is 365 days of the year. There's no two ways about it. Veterans need our support always. I love monthly giving. I know you know this about me. I think monthly giving is such a brilliant way of committing to an organization. One, as a donor, I love it because I can plan my philanthropy throughout the year. I know what's going to happen, especially in these times a little bit turbulent in terms of economy. I know that I'm going to give. I know how I can work that into my budget. What does it do for you as a foundation to have a monthly donor?
So what it does is it allows us to plan, and therefore it allows Perley Health to plan. When we know that there is that source of generosity coming in, we know what we can give to the health center and what they can then purchase or what gaps need to be filled. And one example of that that really, the power of monthly giving was actually during COVID. When COVID first hit, and I know for many of us it was years ago now, but I remember because nobody knew what was going to happen, but we knew we had such an incredibly generous and loyal base, and we knew that those donations were going to come in every month, and that helped us plan and fill gaps and respond to the absolutely emerging needs at that time. So monthly donors play a huge role in our foundation and the overall health and well-being of our seniors and veterans at Perley.
And we think about this time of year, any time of year, where corporations are getting together, they might be planning something, and a lot of times, the staff actually are the ones that sort of say, I don't need a $10 or a $20 gift. I would love to, let's compile all those dollars and give to Perley Health. You must have a lot of those calls.
We do, and actually I'm really excited. We are starting a new corporate partnership program. So what it is we've got some really unique opportunities for businesses and corporations in our community to give back to Perley. And like you said, instead of giving your staff a $10, $15, or gift certificate, using those monies and donating it to Perley, but also we have some great opportunities to then, with that donation, come on in and maybe volunteer for the afternoon, help us decorate a Christmas tree, or part of our socials or those kinds of things. So we have some really excellent opportunities for our corporate community to give back to Perley Health as well.
And you know what I'm thinking? I'm thinking time, talent, and treasure.
Yes.
Right. So
exactly.
Time, talent, and treasure, that's the definition of philanthropy. And going in, and you know how my life changed when I went to the Perley for the first time. I mean, it was, I visited with your dear friend Delphine, and I was showed around and toured around, met some incredible people. I think the minute you step inside the Perley Health, if you've never been there, it is life-changing.
It is, and that's one of my favorite parts of my job. I have a lot of favorite parts of my job, but that is one when I get to bring somebody in who has no idea about the Perley, who we are, what we do, and their first reaction is kind of like, oh, long-term care, and we're able to, Perley Health is changing the narrative on long-term care. We are not what you read in the newspapers. We are so much more, and we're what everyone else could be as well. And so when I have folks come in for a tour, just walking around and they're blown away by the pub and the ice cream parlor, the creative arts studio, the curio cabinets outside resident rooms. And I think what makes those tours so fantastic and really memorable is the staff that you see and the residents, because the staff always smile. You see them, they're engaged. We have an incredible team at Perley Health. who support our residents and our veterans and our seniors, and it's just such a beautiful community of care.
So we've talked about a few ways to give. Of course, an annual gift as well. Some people say, you know what, I'm going to donate $500 to Perley Health this year, and that's going to be my gift. That's a wonderful way to give. Can we talk a little bit about legacy giving?
Yeah.
Because I really think, you know, if somebody is particularly, maybe their family had veterans or they're a veteran themselves, they want the values that they've had in life to be carried on in their estate. So you must receive beautiful gifts through legacy gifts.
We do. We're really fortunate. We have had a number of people over the years think of us in their wills and just really help us carve a path to a better future for so many seniors and veterans. And to your point, often it aligns with a value of maybe they were former military and they want to ensure that legacy of helping veterans carries on. In some cases, you know, we recently had a beautiful gift from a family, and he was a longtime volunteer. And that really was important for him to give back to where he had volunteered. And that was for him, you know, including Perley Health in their estate planning was important. And the wife's charity got some, and Perley Health got, you know, a portion as well. And it was really, really impactful. And I think there's so many different ways to give through planned giving. And, you know, people often think, oh, I need to have so much money to do this, and it's not. There's really effective ways to do it, and, you know, thinking and ensuring that your kids are taken care of first and your family first, and, you know, charities as well. So we're really fortunate with that.
Well, and here's the thing I know about you is that if someone was to call you up and say, I heard you on An Hour to Give, and I just want to chat about the opportunities, it's a no pressure conversation.
Absolutely.
You're happy to sort of share some information.
Yes,
yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think I personally believe that, you know, giving back to your community and to charities is so important, and, you know, having that conversation just plants those seeds, and then you talk to your friends, and, you know, it becomes a sea of change too when you start having those conversations with more people.
A sea of change. Look at you. I love that. I might steal that.
It's all yours.
In terms of the foundation, you are located beautifully in the Perley Health building as well. So talk to me a little bit about how you get to interact with everyone.
So we are right in the center of Perley Health. It's actually called Perley Center where we are. We are just down the street from the boutique, so lots of people going in there to go shopping. But what is so fantastic is we see so many residents, so many staff, so many families, volunteers pass by our offices every day, and we have all of these little interactions on a daily basis. And I often talk about, you know, one of our residents, Roland, who is an avid painter, and people probably heard stories about him already. He's done over 300 paintings at this point, and he stops by my office almost daily to show me his latest creation. And he hops off his scooter, comes into my office, shows me his painting, and then with a toodaloo, he skips away and off to his next stop. But he's an example where here's somebody, he's 101, he is, exactly.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. He is living life to the fullest every day. He is able to, he's got a good night's sleep thanks to the mattress that a donor has provided. He has the care he needs to just enjoy life and to paint his paintings. And now he's branching into other mediums. He's doing ceramics. He's doing all sorts of other things that, you know, and I said, oh, that's so good. And he said, well, of course it is. I was like, okay, fair enough.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. You just do such a beautiful job, and of course with Delphine Hassel as well as your executive director. It's a small but mighty team that you have.
It is. We have 4 of us, wow. And we're really fortunate that we have got such a great team, but we also have a great partner with the health center. On our own is you know, we work well together, but if it weren't for, you know, folks like Mary Boutet and Annie Robitaille and Alma Cook and everyone else who supports our work, and, you know, when somebody calls us, oh, I want to make a donation to the foundation, you know, they send them our way, but they're always there to help us when we need, and when we do those tours that you talked about. And one of the things too, when we do these tours, it's not like they're overly planned. We let people know we're coming, but we're not staging anything. We are our authentic selves, and knowing that the staff is there to just be great is fantastic.
Yeah, and I mean, I'll never forget, I was introduced to to a gentleman by the name of Jack, and I will never forget him. He passed away shortly after we met, but I honestly think about him all the time. I think about him during this remembrance period. I think about the commitment that he made to this country, the sacrifices he made. All those years later, when he spoke, Courtney, he still had tears in his eyes about what he experienced, and but so willing to share his experiences. And I thought it was just such an honor to meet him and spend time with him.
Absolutely, and that is it. It is really an honor to work at Perley Health and for all of our residents. But especially at this time of year, you really think about the service and the sacrifice that so many of our veterans made, and when you hear their stories and how humble they are about what they did, and it's Remembrance Day is a time of reflection and recognizing the service and sacrifice of so many. And at Perley Health, we really we do that in a beautiful way, I think, and we're really fortunate to be able to honor all of our veterans that way.
You do. We only have a couple of minutes. If someone was to make a gift of $100, what would you do with $100?
So that $100, it goes towards making sure folks like Roland have a good night's sleep. It's a new mattress. It is equipment so that our staff have the tools they need to deliver the care, whether it's a bladder scanner, vital sign machine. Even, one year we were fundraising for toasters, and people go, "Oh, toasters," and because we serve a lot of toast in the morning, right?
Right.
And a good start to the day means a good day for everyone. If you have a good breakfast, you're having a good day oftentimes. So it's not about the piece of equipment. It's not about what we bought, or it's about the day the person gets to have thanks to your generosity, thanks to that $100.
And it just screams dignity to me. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It's amazing. So how can people reach you?
People can reach me. They can give me a call, 613-526-7173, or they can email me, foundation@perleyhealth.ca, or visit us online at perleyhealthfoundation.ca.
We've learned so much today about Perley Health. I thought I knew a lot about Perley Health. And then I sit down with all of you and I'm like, I didn't know about that study. I didn't know about this research. I didn't know about the volunteer initiative. So you're always evolving, and I really appreciate all the great information today. Thank you so much, Courtney.
Thank you so much.
Appreciate your time. To all of my fantastic guests today, thank you. And I know we've inspired you to remember veterans, not only during this remembrance period, but 365 days of the year. Our veterans are the reasons that we have this incredible country and the peace that we have. So please reach out and support veterans in our community through Perley Health. I'm Sam Laprade. This is An Hour to Give. We're so glad that you're here. We couldn't do it without you. Thanks for watching and listening.
Connect with us by visiting our website or email us at comments@rogerstv.com.
I'm Sam Laprade. I hope you join us for An Hour to Give. It's a wonderful way to learn all about the charities and nonprofits in this community that are changing and saving lives. Look forward to seeing you then.